Hello again, and welcome back to Roblox Studios classes. Today we're going to be covering parts and how to change their colors and materials. Keep an eye out for a future video where we'll cover how to change the part colors during a game using scripts. For this video, a couple things to know. You can set a part's color and material type before you put a part down or afterwards. You can make changes in the toolbar up here or in the properties area over here. So let's go over changing a part's color and material. First, make sure you have Roblox Studio open and that you've opened a template. I have a base plate template open. You should also know how to insert a part and the shape you want into a game. If you're not comfortable with that, watch an earlier video in the series of how to add and delete parts. By default, when you add a part to Roblox Studio, the color would be gray and the material would be plastic. And if you look over in the properties window, you can see the default color here is a medium stone gray and the material is plastic. If you want to use the toolbar to change a part's color or material, go up to either the Home tab or the Model tab, and you'll see that next to the Part button, or close to it, is both material and color. Here it is on the Model tab, and if you look at the Home tab, here's the Part, and close by is material and color. Notice at the bottom of these two buttons, there's a gray little arrow pointing down. If you try to just click on the button, say for color or material, nothing happens. It seems like you can click it, but nothing happens. However, if you move your cursor down to the little arrows and you click on the arrows, that brings up a menu of colors and materials to choose from. I'm going to select this part here, zoom in a little bit, and then I'll go up to material, click the little arrow, and I'm going to change its material to diamond. And now I'll go up to color and change the part's color to a shade of blue. I don't love this look overall, but we'll go with it. Notice that the material button still shows diamond and color still shows blue. So any additional parts that I add now are going to have the same material and color. So here are a few blocks. Even if I change the shape to spheres, they still have diamond and a blue color. Say you don't like the color that you picked or the material. Just like I said, I wasn't too happy with this color of blue I selected. Well, that's okay, we can change it. Just left click on the part you want to change, and you'll know that it's selected because you can see this blue outside framing of the part. And with the part selected, you go up to either the material or the color, click the little arrow, and change the material or color that you want. So I'll change this a little bit. I'll try something else. Sand isn't necessarily blue. Let's try something more appropriate. Okay, well that's more of a sand color. Easy enough. That's how you use the toolbar to change the material and color type of your part. Now the other way to change it is to use the properties window. By default, the property window should be present. If it's not, we can get it to appear by going up to the View tab, left clicking on View, and then clicking on the Properties button. Clicking the Properties button toggles the property window on and off. Under the View tab, There are a lot more windows that you can turn on if you want to. If you turn them on, you'll see that you end up sacrificing a lot of your work area real estate, and you can't see as much of your game window. So I only turn on what I need in the moment, which most of the time is the Explorer window and the Properties window. Take a minute to change the materials and colors for a variety of parts that you've placed in your game. If you haven't placed a lot of parts, go ahead and place some parts, change their materials, change their colors, experiment with it, and see what looks good. Because not everything looks great. Some things are more appropriate than others, but just take a minute to get a feel for it. I'm going to try making a few different options here with my parts. A small note to bring up that's a little advanced for where we're at in this tutorial. Depending on the material that you choose, the material kind of acts like real life as far as plastic is lighter than, say, marble or concrete. So in your game, if you're planning on players interacting somehow with parts, you might get a different result with how heavy your material is. Plastic is going to be more easy to push around, whereas concrete and marble aren't going to move as easily. It's going to take more force. Most of the time it doesn't matter, but depending on what you're doing in your game, it could make a difference. I'll go ahead and speed up my material choices here. Alright, with that, I now have a variety of materials and colors for my parts. As I mentioned before, there are two ways to change the materials and colors for parts. One is up in the toolbar. The other is using the Properties window. I'll select my sand sphere, buttermilk color. And if we look in the Properties window, we can see a number of different properties that make up this part. First we have brick color. I'll come back to that. Then we have cast shadow. When that's checked, that means that the part will cast a shadow. And here you can see the shadow of the sphere. If it's unchecked, the shadow goes away. Click it on and off, you can see the shadow come and go. Now below that is color. So you have two color options to choose from in Properties. Color, and up top here, brick color. Now brick color is more simple. It gives you this palette of colors to select, whereas color gives you this wide variety, thousands of colors to pick. Next you have material, which you click here to get your drop-down menu, and it gives you the exact same material selection as you had up in the toolbar. Below that is reflectance. Reflectance is how shiny the object is, how much light can reflect off of it. It doesn't work really well on all objects. Really, it's the material that makes the difference. Rougher materials don't reflect light very well. Smoother materials will reflect light better. Click on the area to the right side of reflectance. We have a value of 0 to 1 that we can pick from. 1 means full reflectance, and for sand it doesn't do anything. That's why the sand part looks the same. So let's change the material to something else. Let's go with glass. Oh, there we go. Look at how shiny that is. So that is full reflectance with glass. Now we can grab this slider here and adjust it all the way back down to 0 reflectance, or back up all the way to 1. You can stop anywhere in between that you want. Now let's look at the next property, transparency. Transparency is how well you can see through an object. So let me select this brick sphere, go down to transparency and click on it. Instead of using the slider, I'm going to manually enter a value, 0.5. And you can see how the transparency has changed for this part. I'll adjust the slider. You can see I can go all the way or anywhere in between and adjust it to whatever I like. Transparency works really good when you're trying to make something like a window and you want to get enough see-through but not completely see-through. So let's see. I'm going to do an example here. I think I'll make a part that will turn into a window. So let me add a brick here. Good. Now I need to adjust its size to make it look more like a window. It's a little thick. Let's thin it out. Alright, now we have a window that you might find in a house. Let's change its material to glass. We could select glass from the toolbar drop down or over here in properties. Just go to materials, select glass. Doesn't really look like it's glass. Yeah, okay, that's working. Go back to glass. Alright, it's saying that that's what glass looks like if it's medium gray with 0 transparency. So let's pick a blue color because glass I feel is kind of blue. Alright, still doesn't look great. Let's go ahead and change the transparency. There we go, that's better. Little more transparent. Good. There's a slight blue to it, but we can see through the glass. You can see the objects on the other side. Yeah, I like that. Use transparency to allow more or less light to pass through your parts. What about transparency and casting a shadow? Does our window cast a shadow? Let's see. If we check and uncheck cast shadow, you don't really see anything. If we change the transparency, okay, there's a shadow. Now let's adjust the transparency. Ooh, shadow went away. At some point, the shadow disappears. It seems to be around 0.6, 0.65, something like that. Let's talk a little bit more about the two types of color in properties, the brick color and color. So if I select this part, under brick color, we can open up the palette and select from any of these colors available. Now there's something to notice when you hover over one of these colors. There's a name for the color that pops up, forest green. If I move to another color, this one is olivine. And this color here has the name of lilac. This is helpful because later when you do scripting, if you want to change a color, you can reference a color simply by its name. But color names are only available for those colors found on that palette within brick color. If you wanted to select a color that's not found within the brick color palette, then you need to come down here to color. Click here and you get this more detailed option of colors to choose from. There's the RGB system, red, green, blue, where the value goes anywhere from 0 to 255, with 0 being nothing of that color and 255 being the maximum. There's also the HSV system, hue, saturation, and value, again from 0 to 255. If there was a particular color that you really wanted to use and you knew the hue, saturation, value number or its RGB value, then you could simply enter it into the spaces and that color would be selected for you. If you are well versed in creating web pages with HTML, you can enter the HTML color value as well. With this knowledge, you should feel comfortable selecting the material that you would like for a part, along with selecting the color you want in a couple different ways, be it the brick color or using the wider variety of colors available using the color system. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Join us in the next video where we go over how to move parts, resize them, and rotate parts using the toolbar. I'll see you then.